Welcome to Donington, where many of the sport's top motor racing drivers have gathered here to both pay tribute to a fine young Grand Prix driver who so tragically died of cancer last year, and also to help him fulfill his final wish. Well, the driver was this man, the 29-year-old Swede Gunnar Nilsson, who, as I said, died so tragically from cancer in a London hospital last year. He'd been a Grand Prix driver just 2 years, a man of immense talent and promise. He'd won the 1977 Belgium Grand Prix, but I suppose he'll be best known for his tremendous and brave fight against cancer. In his last few days, he wouldn't have any drugs to ease the pain because he wanted to stay alert to start the Gunnar Nilsson cancer treatment campaign. And he started it with £25,000 of his own money. He realised that the medical people were so desperately short of funds to fight this terrible illness. Well, as I said, he started with £25,000 because his target was £350,000. But within a year, less than a year of his death, the target now stands at £530,000, and the organisers tell me that before the end of the year it'll reach £750,000. Well, here there's a large crowd at Donington to make sure there's another £50,000 at least added to that fund. And the great names, well, they've all turned up. There's the current world champion Mario Andretti, there's the former British world champion James Hunt, a lot of other great drivers from the current Grand Prix circuit as well, including John Watson, Alan Jones, Hans Stuck, to name just but a few. And we've got the great names from the past too. Jackie Stewart, Britain's world champion 3 times. The amazing Fangio, who was world champion 3 times. And the ex-Beatles star, George Harrison's been having his first drive in public as well. The royalties here too, with Prince Bertel of Sweden and Prince Michael of Kent. Well, the top race is the 30-lap Gunnar Nilsson Memorial Trophy race for those spectacular BMW M1 Pro cars. We'll be bringing you that race live in just a few minutes. But let's meet some of the personalities here, and with me already, Jackie Stewart and George Harrison. First of all, Jackie, I'm sure if Gunnar had been alive, he would have been so proud today.
Oh, I think very proud indeed to have a lineup that have come to Donington for this great event. I mean, it's a great privilege to any driver, a great tribute to any driver to have Fangio come. I mean, who's a symbol to everybody in motor racing, and to have James and Mario and John Watson, Alan Jones, to have all of these drivers, and then to have George come, who's become so keen in Grand Prix motor racing and now is taking up driving. I think I'm going to threaten that I'm going to take up playing a guitar if he carries on like this.
How did you get on, George, in your drive? Your drive has just happened.
Yeah, it was really nice, actually. I was a bit dubious about it being surrounded by all these masters. And yesterday in the rain, I had just to get familiar with the car, and I spun out a couple of times. So I was very, very nervous. And especially as John Watson was saying, well, you know, they may be supposed to go in formation, but no racing driver does that. They all will race. And as soon as he dropped the flag, it was like the Indianapolis 500. Well, from where I was sitting, it was great. You know, it was very nice. The car was a bit old, but then again, so am I.
It's one of your great loves, motor racing.
Yeah, I liked it since I was a kid, and it's a bit more interesting for me now because, you know, with having friends like Jackie, I understand that much more, and I'm a sort of privileged hangers-on club member, so I managed to get to know all the, you know, the backroom sort of stuff that goes on. But you know, I have to get out of it a bit now because I'm getting to know too much, you know, the politics.
The trouble is now, you see, now that he's driving, he really is the master going faster. So George wrote a great song about motor racing called Faster. This is it. This is the commercial for George Harrison. No, it's great, and you know, a lot of people have turned up. The weather was a bit dodgy this morning, but now it's ideal. In fact, ideal racing conditions. And you know, for the M1s, that's going to be a great race. And then, of course, there's going to be a challenge of the Formula One drivers to try and break the lap record here around Donington, and a lot of good racing.
What was Gunnar Nilsson like?
Gunnar was an amazing young man when you think he was only 28 years of age when they found out that he had cancer. An absolute specimen of health, physically tremendously in good shape. I mean, just a great physical specimen. And to see within 11 months his life being taken away from him, almost being eroded, it was a very sad thing. But the great thing, I think, was that the tremendous courage he had and the way that he attacked it. And the fact is that Gunnar Nilsson is a Swedish driver. And here he is raising money for equipment that is going to be put into Britain, not to Sweden, not to Stockholm, not to any of his cities, but to ours, to London. And I think this is just one of the greatest things that I can think of, that he obviously respected so much the hospital and the staff that had looked after him so well and had tried so hard to save his life, that he wanted to do something for that hospital and for the people who had helped him so much. So it was a great, courageous effort, and you know, my hat gets doffed to Gunnar, and I'm sure everybody who's present today feel exactly the same way.
George, did you know Gunnar Nilsson?
Yeah, I knew him for about 18 months before he died. I met him at a lot of races and spoke with him. I met him at some other things as well, apart from races, and I spoke to him quite a lot on the phone. He was a very sweet person, you know. I mean, he was very easy to know. Very first time I met him, it was like as if I'd known him for years, you know, very open, warm person. And it was very sad indeed, you know. But then again, at least he did something, you know. I mean, it was fantastic what he did in spite of all that misery he must have been in. It was wonderful what he did, and I think that's why I'm here, really. I mean, I wouldn't normally watch this sort of race. I mean, unless it was on with a Formula One. But I came, you know, because of Gunnar. That's really the main reason.
Well, let's talk about this race for a moment. Jackie, let's get your expert opinion. I mean, you would expect to see all these great names that we've mentioned who are currently in action. You would think that they were in Grand Prix cars, but the viewer's going to get a bit of a shock here.
Well, there's a new series this year. It's called Pro Car Series, and it's very good because the top Grand Prix drivers are going to have the privilege of racing against the more expert GT drivers, or Gran Turismo drivers, or sports car drivers. Now, some of these chaps behind the Grand Prix drivers, because the privilege of being a Grand Prix driver is that they're all at the front end of the grid. There's 5 of them up there at the front end, and then behind that, some of the most competitive sports car and GT drivers in the world. Troy Hazelman, tremendously fast. David Hobbs, very quick, from local man here from the Midlands. A lot of them, Giacomelli from Italy. These drivers, and Hans Stuck, by the way, from Germany, who is a Grand Prix driver, but who's regularly driving this series, he's very quick. I think you can see a lot of fireworks. You're going to see a lot of passing, which sometimes Grand Prix racing doesn't afford. And I think you're going to see that. So hopefully you're going to see one of the best races this season, because it's the first time these pro cars have appeared on any British track. And I think the privileged public that have attended here today are going to enjoy it, and your privileged television audience, hopefully.
Studying form then, what is the Jackie Stewart tip? Because you can sit back and watch this one.
I think that Hans Stuck will drive pretty hard. James Hunt won.
He'll spin out though.
Well, you know, you see, George has become a real expert. He pulled out.
He'll go good, but he'll spin out. He'll lose it.
Well, you know, you see, George picked the winner at Monaco just last week, so therefore we can listen to George Harrison today. But Mario will go quickly. Alan Jones will be fast.
Jones, maybe.